Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time it is a review of the 2018 action film Peppermint. Now, I was curious about this movie because I like Jennifer Garner. Pierre Morel directed it, and he did The Transporter, Taken, a bunch of other movies, and he's a very capable director when it comes to an action film. So I thought that was a good sign. The trailer didn't look too bad. I like the idea of a vigilante film featuring a female lead, and Jennifer Garner is an actress who can definitely hold her own in that type of film. The title left me kind of weary, or not really weary. I mean leery, because it's like, well, why is it called Peppermint? Like, what's up with that? And the film really never explains it. Uh, there's a couple sequences that have like the peppermint color scheme, and I think there's something to do with like there's some mint cookies, Girl Scout cookies that are in one scene, but like there's really nothing in the movie that's like, oh wow, yeah, peppermint. Like why is it called Peppermint? I really don't know why. It's just kind of a weird. It's a weird title for a action film, and no pun intended here. It's not a very fresh film. It doesn't leave a fresh taste in your mouth. This was a disappointment. This was a misfire. More times than not, it was boring. The action, there was one action sequence which was like a bit of shotgun fun, like about the 50-minute 1 hour mark, that was decent. But other than that, there really wasn't barely any action worth writing home about. In fact, actually, no, I wouldn't say barely any action. I mean, other than that one sequence, that was it. Like the other action sequences were tired. There wasn't a lot of life to them. The choreography was bad. Even Pierre Morel's direction just seemed flat and lifeless. Like he just did this for a paycheck and had zero passion for this project. As I said earlier, it's directed by Pierre Morel, and I definitely have to say it's one of his weakest films that he's directed. There's none of the same style, there's none of the same flair for action and any of that in this movie. It's just a very stale directing job. It's like this could have been directed by Joe Schmo for all I care. Like there really isn't much of anything that really leaves a mark. At least not a distinct mark when it comes to the directing. The screenplay by Chad St. John is cliched and really tiresome. And its plot line, it's your typical, oh, her family is killed and she goes on to get revenge, but in a way that just isn't very interesting. It's not exciting. It isn't it, I mean, one of the biggest problems that Peppermint has is it has a pathetic villain. The lead villain is absolutely putrid. This guy isn't intimidating. He isn't really much of a force. It's one of those villains that should just be some main villain's henchman, not the lead. He has no presence. He's like a poor man's Rick Rude, and there's like nothing to this guy. And then the threat isn't much of anything either. Like it doesn't seem like Jennifer Garner's character has a worthy opponent in this movie. And that's a serious flaw. And then you have this really shitty subplot with these cops trying to investigate the cases involved with Jennifer Garner's character and her killing spree. And then there's a predictable twist where the guy who's the head of the investigation is in on it with the drug dealer bad guy. And this subplot goes on forever. And it's got really cringe inducing attempts at humor from the cops with their lines of dialogue, and it's not funny. It really does make you physically cringe. You're just like, oh, that just wasn't that what was that about? They kept making references to Bigfoot for some reason, and I'm like, I'm sitting there watching the movie while these two cops are referencing Bigfoot, and I'm like, why the fuck are you talking about Bigfoot? Like, where did this come from? There's no context in any of this. Yeah, that's the script. Random, out of the blue Bigfoot jokes, a shitty villain, a shitty subplot with cops trying to investigate the killings, which takes away from the film's pacing. It really does make the film a really sluggish motion picture. It's a sluggish film to sit through because you don't have a viable or believable antagonist, and then it just takes forever to really get anywhere. It's disappointing in terms of how it doesn't really go as far as it should. Like, for instance, the guys who were in the car that drove by and shot Jennifer Garner's character's husband and her daughter. Her character's named Riley. So the guys who shot Riley's family, they get killed off screen. They get strung up and hung up on a Ferris wheel, and it's just like, really? And then like after that, the rest of the film, she's just shooting nameless thugs until she finally runs into the guy who was the lead of the cartel. And I'm like, why did you blow that wad that early and in a way that is just so lame? You're taking your time already. I get it. You're trying to slowly build to an explosive climax or to action sequences or something, but it just comes across as a giant missed opportunity, and that really sums up the film perfectly. It's a missed opportunity. There's potential here. A vigilante film, a down and dirty vigilante movie with Jennifer Garner as the lead. If you had amped up the action sequences, you had a better villain, then you'd have a better film. As it is, it's really below average. And it's a shame because Jennifer Garner gives her all in this film. Her performance as Riley North is genuinely great. She really is in tune with her emotions. She's believable when it comes to the physicality of the character, and when it comes to any of the bits where she has to do anything action related. She's a badass. And it's really just frustrating that her performance is completely wasted in such a tired, raggedy, shitty film, really. Because honestly, it really is a pretty bad film. It's forgettable, other than a couple, like one main action sequence, Jennifer Garner's performance. There's really nothing else to it. And it's just one of those movies that I could have sworn this could have just been direct to video, or this could have been a Netflix movie. This is not a film that really was worth paying anything to see in the theater, and for some reason it made a profit. It cost $25 million, and that honestly seemed like a lot. This looked like a $10-15 million film to me in terms of production value. And it made $51 million. So it made a profit. I don't think it deserved the profit because it was not really worthy of making that much of a profit because it's not a worthwhile film. But yeah, it made a profit. Doesn't mean it's a good movie. Even the score by Simon Franklin, there's nothing to it. Cinematography by David Lansenberg is bland. The editing by Frederick Thorvall, at times it's just janky. And I believe it is an R-rated film. Yeah, I think it's rated R. I might be wrong though. I'm trying to remember if it's rated R or not. It's not really why is it not telling me what the rating is? I mean, I would think that would, I mean, Wikipedia normally tells you what the fuck the rating of the movie is. Yeah, it's rated R. It seems at times kind of a tame R though. Like there's a bit of blood here and there, like CGI blood splatters, but nothing really that intense. That's another thing that it could have used something about it other than harsh language and action that makes the R rating really stick. But yeah, and I can't, I honestly cannot sing the praises of Jennifer Garner enough in this. She made it tolerable for me with one watch because I wanted to see what she had. I wanted to continue to see this performance because it was that good. That being said, it's only a one-time watch thing. It's like I can't see myself enjoying her performance or this film a second time around. And I didn't really enjoy it the first time around, but I'm just saying I can't see myself watching this again and being like, yeah, she's saving the film. No, because so many other elements of the movie are really egregious. The screenplay is really sad. It's a sad sack of a script. And the acting by everyone else other than Jennifer Garner is substandard. John Gallagher Jr. plays Detective Stan Carmichael, who I believe is the guy. Yeah, he's the cop who is who turns out to be a dirty cop and a twist that you see coming a mile away. This guy seems out of place. He just does not fit in this film. This character, maybe it's not the character that doesn't fit in this film. It's just the performance by this actor. His approach does not fit with the tone of this movie. He comes and he doesn't really seem to be giving a shit either. So that doesn't help either. And yeah, I've repeated either a bunch of times, but really that's honestly how it does not help at all because he just does not give a shit and it shows. John Ortiz, he plays Detective Moises Beltran, another just I'm gonna run through my lines and sleepwalk through the film. Method Man shows up like over an hour into the movie as Agent Barker. I don't know why he's there. I guess it's for star power. If I it's one of the I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that. Like, oh, get Method Man. We need stars. Yeah, Method Man is a star apparently, according to my brain right now. No, but seriously, it just seems like they needed somebody that was a well-known name, other than Jennifer Garner, and this cast of nobodies. So they're like, Method Man, what are you doing? Want to do this film and say maybe one or two lines and not do a damn thing? He doesn't do anything. So what was the point of that character? There was no point to that character. It was fucking pointless. It's just oh look, that's Method Man. Richard Cabral as Salazar, he was just this is the main villain. This is your main bad guy. Actually, no, it's not. Yeah, it is. I believe. No, actually, Salazar's a different guy. The main villain is Diego Garcia, who's played by Juan Pablo Raba, and this guy, this, like I said, he's not intimidating. He doesn't have a tough bone in his entire body. No matter how much he mean mugs to the camera, he looks like a fucking Mexican soap opera actor. Really. He looks like a guy from a telenovela. That's what he looks like. He does not look like, oh man, it doesn't matter if you have a mustache and shit and you talk tough. I don't buy any of it with this guy. None whatsoever. And it doesn't help either that in the climax, when Riley's going after him and attacking a stronghold, he hides like a bitch behind his counter while she's taking out his men. And she's just has like one gun, and this guy's just hiding behind the fucking counter in his kitchen or behind the couch cowering like a little bitch. It's like, wow, that's your main villain. This guy, Diego, he might as well be Diego from the Dora the Explorer spinoff. Like, go Diego, go. He might as well be that fucking Diego. I mean, he's that fucking intimidating. I mean, come on. So yeah, the cast really doesn't do much to really elevate the film above average. It's not even an average movie. It's painfully below average. It's there. It gets started and it takes a little bit to get going, but I have to admit, like the opening sequence, they did the whole thing where they start out in the future and then do a flashback, and in this film it kind of works all right, but not that well, because it just, once again, it kind of blows its wad early. This film has honestly has a problem with blowing its wad with its action sequences. Starts out with the scene where she attacks some guys in a car, fucks them up. It's brutal, but it's like the film then just doesn't do much for like way too long. And then when it finally starts to pick up the pace or starts to give you some action, it's already too late. So it's like this movie, I mean, it just finishes way too fucking early. I think it's got erectile dysfunction or something, or it's definitely one of those films that lasts only a few seconds. Like it can't. It just comes early every single time. Premature ejaculates way too many times. So the flashback scene, it was sweet, it was charming. I thought the film did a decent job establishing the fact that Riley was a hardworking mother. Yeah, actually, I don't think she was working, but her, she was a loving mother. Tried to do the best she could for her family and for her daughter. And there's a nice little surprise bit where her daughter tells off this mother of a of a competing Girl Scout, because the mother gets all pissed at Riley's daughter for encroaching on her territory, and so the daughter's like, she's an asshole. So there was some fun stuff like that, and I felt the kid did a good job. The dad, though, like, he should have known better. I guess they were struggling financially, so he decides he's gonna maybe get involved with a burglary or drug deal or something, and then he bows out, and of course it's already too late. So then, because he knows too much, he gets killed alongside his daughter, and actually a pretty effective sequence. It's at a carnival, and Riley watches helplessly as her family gets gunned down. She then positively identifies the gunmen, but due to movie screenplay uh, lawyer logic, they get let off on some technicality or some shit. And so then that's when she starts her killing spree. She actually breaks out of an ambulance and goes missing for a while. And then she becomes the Angel of Death. And speaking of Angel of Death, the film, it just honestly, it gives new meaning to the term killing time. It's like it's just taking time itself and just putting a bullet in the back of its head. And it's not, not necessarily putting a bullet in the back of its head. I would say it's a slowly torturing time, because it takes forever to finally end and finally get it over with. And yeah, I mean, I'm not kidding when I say that this film really does not have enough action sequences. You have that one sequence in a pinata store with some shotgun fun, which was a legitimately good action sequence. After that, it takes what 20 or 30 more minutes. You have more of the stupid police subplot I don't give a shit about, and she knifes a couple guys, and there's a little bit of the shootout at the stronghold, which really wasn't much of anything. And then you had the finale where she ends up in like Skid Row and kind of gets her ass kicked by the bad guy, and then eventually shoots him in the face, and that's it. And she gets let go. Like, she gets arrested, but then the cop lets her go, of course. You know that was going to come. That was going to happen to set up for the sequel, which, if it does happen, will more than likely be direct-to-video. I would be surprised if it came out in theaters, but you never know. So, I don't really know what else to say about the film, except it seems like the movie was foreshadowing how bad the film was, because I kid you not, there's a scene early in the movie where it pans to a homeless guy who's like holding a sign that says "We're fucked." Like, I'm not fucking around. He's actually holding a piece of cardboard, and he's like, "We're fucked." I'm like, yeah. If you sit down and watch Peppermint, you're fucked. You might as well have shoved a giant candy cane up your ass, because that would be an infinitely more pleasurable experience, and definitely a lot more interesting than watching Peppermint. So I don't know what else to say about Peppermint, except if I were to rate it out of 5 stars, it gets 1.5. And the half is for that one action sequence, and for a little bit of the stuff in the beginning, and for Jennifer Garner. Jennifer Garner gets she gets the full 1 star, because she really was truly phenomenal here. But she can't carry the film on her shoulders because the foundation is so weak. She falls right through the floor and into the basement and breaks her ankles. I mean, it really sucks, but it's true. And honestly, I would love to see Jennifer Garner do another film like this, but with a better script and a director that isn't just going through the motions and just waiting for the time when he gets his paycheck. So anyway, thanks for watching my review / rant on Peppermint, and as always, I will see you later. See ya.